Well, hello, this is Jeff Gaudiosi, and you're on misplacedstraws.com, where music comes to life. And my guest today is making his fourth trip to the site, believe it or not. His band Eclipse just released their 11th studio album called Megalomanium II, follow up to 2023's Megalomanium. And it's just another glorious set of rock and roll that can only come from Eclipse. Here to talk about it, Erik Martensson. Welcome back, Erik.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Always my pleasure. And let's start off with the obvious. I mean, the record's called Megalomanium 2. Why release it as a part two rather than give it its own identity? Were all of these songs kind of recorded at the same time?
Yeah, it is a double album. It is a double record, and
Mm.
we recorded. We wrote all the songs. We had all the songs. We split them in two halves. We were actually sitting in a bar in Sydney. We had an Australian tour, and we had all the pre-production demos. And this Victor, Magnus, and myself, we were sitting there having beers and just split them in two halves.
Mm.
Yes, let's try to make two like consistent good albums out of the stuff we had and what not to record. And then it is a double album, but instead of it, the problem with double albums, except that no one is stupid enough to do them anymore, is that it's a bit too much music at the same time. That especially in the day of age of streaming,
Mm.
it's people have 24 seconds of interest in a song or something. So it's we decided to split them 1 year apart.
Mm.
Uh,
Was it tough
so,
to
but it is,
decide?
yeah.
Was it tough to decide which songs go on which? Because you want to put out two strong records. You don't want to put all the singles on one record. Was it
No,
tough making that decision?
yeah, we put four singles on each album, which we thought were like single candidate songs. Not all of those songs turned out to be the singles at all, which is funny because when you start recording and start working on songs, they sometimes really change the character, and the ones you thought were the best ones were not the best ones anymore, and it's yeah. So yeah, but we had a lot of songs to choose between. So we had like 30 songs. So there was a lot of stuff, and we knew we had a lot of good songs. So we knew it was, it was good enough to make two great records.
Mm. And it's interesting because some of the songs on two, you really hear the similarities with the songs on one. For instance, for me, the
Yep.
song All I Want, the drum fills of that really remind me of the My Chemical Romance influence that we talked about on the first record.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah. There's
stuff
some
like
like it's like this Blink 182 drumming kind of as well.
it's a
Very
very
fast
cool
and furious.
sound, yeah.
Yeah, some cool stuff there. Yeah.
But then you get a song like The Spark that really hints at a new direction for the
Yeah.
band. So it's very cool to hear both sides of that in this record.
Yeah, and I think the fun thing about doing, it's besides it's a lot of work doing a double record. It's actually
Mhm.
much more work than doing two albums. Kind of it's like it's so hard to keep focus on so many songs at the same time to make everyone as good as possible. Which everyone who's been making records know it's a lot of work to make a record, and do a double album. It's actually it feels like doing four albums at the same time. And but the good thing is that when you make one record, you kind of stay in the middle and try to be as much Eclipse as possible. But when you have the chance to do a double record, you can go a bit left, you can go a bit right, you can try different new things that you maybe you wouldn't have done on a standard record, which I think is fun because every time we've been doing like different directions that were not the typical Eclipse song. Those were always like open doors to new ways of writing songs, and we can sound like this as well, because we don't want to end up doing the same albums over and over again. We want to explore new stuff all the time.
And that's one thing I think that has always attracted me to your band is that you guys, there's an Eclipse sound that comes
Yep.
through in every record. But every record also kind of has these little diversions that take you into a new place and then maybe explore that further on the next one. At this
Yeah.
point in your career, I mean, you're 11 records in. Are you confident enough that your audience is along for the ride? we want to hear those little diversions that you're making.
Yeah, I think the majority of the fans do that. Some you have some like some people have very loud voices and complain all the time, and I think they those people we can never satisfy them. They fell in love with the first record, Bleed and Scream and all those records, those old records, which I love too. But I'm not that guy anymore. I don't want to. We already wrote those songs. That record is already done. So if you prefer that record, just listen to it. And then we have the others who really embrace all the new stuff. Because when we are out on tour, we're having our final night on our European tour tonight. We're in Lindau in Germany, and one thing that is noticed throughout all the tours is that the new songs is the one that works best live. It's what gets the audience going, which is it's unbelievable that people have that interest. They don't want to hear the old songs. If we play Bleed and Scream, it's okay. We have some fans who like jump up and down and go crazy. But when we played like stuff from the previous record of the part one, people go nuts, which is unbelievable.
And hearing that reaction from the crowd, does that kind of feed you as a writer and keep you hungry to keep coming up with something new because of that reaction you just talked about?
Yeah, sure. And we want to play the new stuff because, if we, of course I would have loved to be in Guns N' Roses, but imagine all being like they're retirement age soon. And they're still playing the same songs they wrote when they were like 20, 23, 22 years old. That would be like complete disaster for me. I want to add new songs even from the 1-year-old album. Feels like it's I played them too much. I need new songs now, which is so we play like 6 or 7 of the new tracks from the new album live, which is it's asking a lot from the fans, but they seem to be up for the task.
When you look back on each release and how the band's career has grown steadily with each record, what does success mean to you now? I mean, nobody, like you said, no one's going to be Guns N' Roses and sell 10 million records anymore. So what makes, a record or a tour successful for you?
It's life. We got to have a good time doing it. We have one life. We got to make the most out of it. And I don't think, great success and money and all that's fame and glory, I think that's no one gets happier from that. I think we have the opportunity to be out playing live. We can do tours, we do tour buses, we travel all around the world, we meet wonderful people and play our music and they enjoy it. That's what more can I ask? It's unbelievable. It's of all my friends who played music when I was a kid, we are very, very few who have the chance to do this. So I consider myself very, very lucky to be able to do this. It's almost pinching myself sometimes that we can do it. And I run my studio, mix records for great bands, and I have a life where I can do music for a living. It's fantastic.
Nothing better than that.
No.
And you mentioned playing live, and you guys are an explosive live band. You have the 2020 release Viva La Victoria that really shows you guys in your element. And we've talked a lot in the past about touring and how hard it is for a band like Eclipse to get here and do the States. But with each release, I think you're getting bigger and bigger. Do you ever see a time where, even whether it's as an opening act or doing theaters or clubs, that you'd be able to get here and do a proper US tour?
Well, we've been working hard to get the visas right. We had some problems because we had to I think we had to cancel a festival called Monsters of the Mountain 2 times because we couldn't get the visas. First, because the COVID, the embassy was closed. The second time, because of COVID, their backlog was so big they couldn't do it. We couldn't get the interview times. So, but now this is third time we got the visas now, and we are coming to Rock the Locks Festival in Oregon, in 4th of October. I think we play there this year. But hopefully next year, because we got a 1-year visa now. So hopefully next year we will have more shows. We have one gig booked at Whiskey A Go Go after Monster Rock Cruise. It must be somewhere in March. I can't remember the date. Early March, I
Yeah,
think.
that'd be an amazing show. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's already booked. So people can go and get tickets for that.
Yeah. And
But there's hopefully there's gonna be more. There's more. I know they're working on more dates for
yeah.
sure.
Well, like I said, normally a band, builds their following on the road, and then that will translate into listeners and streamers and all that. You guys have really done the opposite here in the US. You've seen a lot of success with your studio work without even being able to hit the road. Does it
Yeah.
surprise you at all that you guys have had the success and the recognition that you've had in America, even though you haven't been here to promote?
Yeah, for me, it's like having fans outside the village where I live. It's amazing that people, other side of the world, we go to South America and people sing along to the songs. It's just unbelievable. And I know, yes, as you said, US, we haven't played there at
Mhm,
all. Only Monster Rock Cruise. We played a few times in Chicago. We
mhm.
played Prog Power, I think 2017 or something. But it's more or less nothing.
Yeah.
We have done nothing there, which is unfortunate, but it's unbelievable. People love the music anyway.
Mhm.
But we are a very active live band, so we play everywhere else
Yeah.
except for US, I guess. But the problem is it's not flights, it's not booking gigs that it's a problem. The problems are the visas.
Yeah.
That is the main problem. And since the beginning of this year, they raised the prices with 250% for visas, which means it's unbelievably expensive to
Mm.
go and do a gig.
Yeah.
Which be a lot of problem for foreign bands,
Yeah,
especially
and
our smaller bands. The big bands, the Rolling Stones, and they don't give a shit. They can pay
yeah,
whatever. Like, but we're not those guys.
yeah, I hear
Most
that a
bands,
lot
most
from
bands are
so
not.
many bands, yeah.
Yeah,
And now changing gears a little bit, it's been
yeah,
about 3 years since you and my buddy Jeff Scott Soto got together for a Wet record. Anything
yeah,
on the horizon for that band?
yeah. It's a brand new record is already done.
Mhm,
There's a brand new one coming out in early 25.
mhm.
Brand new
Definitely looking
record, and
forward to that.
I've lived with it for a while now, and I'm willing to say it's probably the best Wet record so far.
Can't
Yeah.
wait. Definitely one of my favorite bands. You and Jeff really
Thank you
gel
so much.
together when you
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah. There's some really great tracks on this new one. I really like it.
And when you think about the future, what do you see? I mean, do you see Eclipse still kind of working that trajectory up? Do you have any desire to do anything, another project outside like a Wet or something else? Where do you see yourself going over the next few years?
No, I probably see myself doing Eclipse a lot. I think that's the main focus. That is the main focus for me. And that and mixing records in my studio, which I do for it's like a daytime job for me, mixing and mastering. And playing live. Well, Eclipse is the main project, has always been, and I'd be happy to keep it that way. So making more. It's rock. It's you make records, you go on tour, you make another record, and you go on tour. That's a cycle of rock music, and I think we're happy to be part of that.
And I have to say, I mean, there aren't many bands currently out there that do it better than Eclipse. You guys have put out consistently great records, killer live bands. So I think we're all lucky to have you guys out there doing what you do.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, we'll do our best. We really do our best every night, and every record is like we write like our lives depend on it. We
And
every night. Yeah.
And speaking of that, are you the type of guy that's always writing? Like, or do you already have songs in the queue for the next record? Or do you usually wait until, okay, it's time to sit down and put it together?
I kind of I'm one of those guys that always writes, but maybe I'm not writing whole songs. And sometimes you need to it's time to write a new record, and this is the deadline, so we got to start writing. But I always collect small ideas, and we have sometimes where it's like I do a song or two. And now we at this double record, I was kind of exhausted from all the writing and production, and because it's been an album release cycle going on for 2 years now soon, which is is 6 months before the previous record. That's when we started, and we just toured, and then it just released second one. It's interviews again, and it's touring again, and like everything has been doubled up. So there haven't been much chance to like relax in between. And I did a wet album in between,
Yep.
which is awful also. So it's been pretty busy, to say the
Well,
least.
we've been spending some time here with Erik Martensson. The band is Eclipse. The record is called Megalomanium II. It's out everywhere now. It's another great record from Eclipse. Definitely up there with some of the best work you've done. So, Erik, thank you so much for coming on, and best of luck
Thank you
with
so
the
much.
record. Hopefully, we'll see you here in the US soon.
I hope so too. Well,
Thank you a lot.
exactly on the 3rd of October, or no, 4th of October.
Yep.
At least it's one show. Better than nothing.
Better than nothing.
Yeah, for
Thank
sure.
you, my friend.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Bye.